Hello guys, welcome to Vijetha IAS Academy. This is Murali Chawla, your faculty for history. In this video lecture, we will discuss about the answer writing for history in the UPSC examination for mains. So especially, I will give you details of how to write a good answer in the examination. So first of all, we will discuss how to deal with what aspects to be taken care of while writing answers for history in GS paper 1, right? So first of all, before going deep into the answer writing, but first of all you need to understand few things here, or you have to keep in mind very certain important aspects, because without those aspects you cannot write better answers and you cannot get better marks, right? So here, if you see here, if I have provided those aspects which are important for examination. So you can see here. So that is first and foremost thing that you have to keep in mind was interpretation of question, right? So for any better answer, for writing any good answer or better answer, obviously you need to, first and foremost thing, that you need to understand the question. So here, that is interpretation of question is very important. Why it is important? Because if you only understand the question properly, then only you can address that question appropriately, right? So for suppose, let us take a topic, there will be some topic, so the question can be asked in different way with respect to the same topic. So there can be multiple questions that can be framed with respect to same topic, but thing is you cannot write the same answer for all the questions, because your answer must be dependent on the question, that is demand of the question, right? So most important thing in answer writing is understanding the demand of the question. So if you don't understand the demand of the question, obviously you will go in a wrong direction regarding your answer, right? So the question interpretation is nothing but understanding the demand of the question, and if you understand demand of the question, then obviously your approach for that question will be in a appropriate manner, right? For suppose, if a question is asked on a particular topic and if you have written something else for that question which is also related to the same topic, but you won't get good marks for that because you did not address the demand. So first and foremost, you have to understand the question. Especially in UPSC, you will see various tags also, like discuss, you will see justify, you will see comment, you will also find examine, critically examine, analyze. So these are the various kinds of taglines which will be used by the UPSC, which are followed by a statement, right? So for suppose UPSC will provide a statement and they will complete the statement with a tagline like examine, analyze, discuss, justify, comment. See, these are all not the same, okay? So your answer should depend on those taglines. So obviously you need to understand what to write for each and every tags. Okay, for suppose, let us say UPSC gave a statement and asked you to justify. So what you will do? You have to justify what has been given in this statement, right? For suppose, you should not take or you should not deviate from that statement. So that means UPSC itself is saying something and asking you to justify. So you have to stick to the statement and you have to justify the statement with proper aspects, right? Similarly, UPSC have given a statement and given the tag comment. So here you can go either way, or you can go agree with the statement or you can disagree with the statement, but with certain reasons. Okay, if you are disagreeing with the statement, you have to back up your argument with certain reasons. If you are not agreeing with the statement, you have to back up your argument with proper reasons, right? So obviously these tags must be kept in mind while writing answer, because if you don't write as per these tags, obviously you will lose good marks, right? So that is all about interpretation. So that is the first aspect, first and foremost aspect that in mind. Coming to the second, structure. So structure is very important. So this is not, see, whether you write a mains answer particularly for general studies, or you write an essay, or you write an answer for optional, in every case there is a prescribed structure, okay? So there is a proper format to be maintained by the aspirant in the examination. For suppose, let us say the answer structure, like in general, you have to divide your answer into introduction, body and conclusion. So in the body, you can again further divide into subsections, right? So this is the basic structure, as you already know it. This is the basic structure that to be maintained by the aspirant in the examination. So there must be introduction, but the thing that you have to remember here is, for introduction, it should not be not more than 3 to 4 lines, okay? Don't make it like 7-8 lines of introduction, and then there itself you will end up with some around 120 words, then you lose lot of time and effort, okay? So introduction must be very crisp and specific. Here emphasize on specific. So specific in the sense, the introduction, whatever you are writing, within that 3 to 4 lines must be relevant to the question only, okay? So must be relevant to the question, or in a broader sense, at least to the topic, right? And in the body, so obviously the main demand of the question is addressed in the body. So just now, as I have mentioned, that UPSC will give you a statement and give you a tag. So the tagline must be justified in the body only by writing with the proper points, proper reasons, proper arguments in a proper format, right? And finally, the third part, that is conclusion. So obviously generally history is less analytical, so obviously sometimes you can write straight away conclusions, or if the question is analytical, then you can write your perspective, okay? Next aspect in answer writing is content and value addition. Again, so as compared to the question interpretation, this is also very important part in the structure of the answer, that is content and value addition. So obviously, for suppose you maintained a good structure, you interpreted the question very well, but if you don't have content, what you will do? So that's why content is very, it's like a brain of the question, right? Brain of the answer question. So if there is no brain, obviously the body cannot work. So without content, you cannot, even though if you maintain proper structure and all, but you won't get good marks, right? So this content also must be relevant to the demand of the question. Next aspect, that is flow of answer, right? Flow of answer means essentially it is related to the body. For suppose there are subsections in the question, or there are sub-statements in the question which are relevant to each other or which are related to each other. So how you will write such kind of answers? So you have to maintain the flow without disrupting the link of those statements, right? So that is called as flow of answers. And another aspect, that is presentation and legibility. So obviously, say structure is important, content is important, at the same time to some extent presentation is also very important, because obviously the examiner will not have that much time to spend elaborate time on your paper. So that's why if you provide the answer in a more sophisticated, more presentable way, more readable way, obviously it will make the work of examiner easy, and eventually it end up with good marks, right? So maintain with good presentation and legibility as well. That means whatever you are writing must be readable, right? And apart from these aspects, the most important thing was stick to the word and time limit, right? So demand is important, interpretation of question is important, approach is important, content is important, presentation is also important. But most importantly, in the examination, confining yourself to the word limit, confining yourself to the time limit are very important, right? For suppose, let us say GS paper 1, so you will be having 20 questions. Questions must be completed in 3 hours. So hardly you will be getting 9 minutes per question on an average. So within that 9 minutes, you have to read the question, you have to analyze the answer in your mind. So, and you have to start writing the answer in the paper, on the paper, right? So, but for that purpose, so everything has to be done in that 9 minutes only. So, if you take some 15 minutes for one question, obviously it will kill or it will take the time which is allocated for other questions. So, you have to stick to the word limits and time limits. So, confine yourself to the 150 words and confine yourself to the 250 words for 10 marker and 15 marker respectively, right? And similarly, maintain the time limit. So, obviously, you have to maintain that consistency throughout the paper, right from the first question to 20th question. If you maintain that consistency of the word and time limit, obviously you will end up with writing all the answers and eventually you will end up with getting very good marks, right? So, actually, this is the major concern for many students where they fail to stick themselves to the word limits. So, but that comes only with the practice, right? So, these are the various aspects that to be kept in mind while writing answers in the mains examination, right? So, here I also provided some of the questions that were asked in the previous years, so especially 23 and 22. So, these are the nature of questions. Obviously, as I mentioned, UPSC will come up with various, or sometimes UPSC will ask direct questions as well, right? So, here in this case, most of the questions are direct or some of them are analytical. So, especially if you see the questions like 5th question, questions like 6th question. So, these are more analytical in nature. So, you have to not only provide the facts. See, history is not just about jotting the facts on the paper. It's also about it analytical in nature. You also sometimes have to put forward your perspectives. Sometimes you have to put the perspective of various authors as well. So, don't think that history is just like, reading the past and putting it on the paper. No, it's not at all. Okay. So, but you have to present the history, the present, the past from your perspective or sometimes from the author's perspective. So, that is nothing but analytical analysis of the papers, right? So, here I have provided 2022 paper as well. So, these are the various questions that were asked in the examination, right? So, this is all about answer writing, particularly for history in GS1. So, these are the things which you have to keep in mind while writing an answer, okay? So, for further more discussions on the answer writing, so we will discuss that in our class lectures. So, every day we will practice questions in the class itself. So, PYQs will be discussed and within class itself we will give some certain questions which will be discussed in the class itself. So, for those, please stay tuned for further more videos for these kind of discussions, right? Thank you. Thanks a lot.